Welcome back to AM Northwest. She wants to help spread joy, one cookie, cake, or cheese puff at a time. Here to share a recipe from her first solo cookbook, Baking and the Meaning of Life. We welcome all the way from London, Helen Goh. Helen, how you doing?
Hi, Helen. I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Good. Your cookbook is absolutely beautiful. But
Oh,
tell me
thank
about your
you.
inspiration behind writing this cookbook.
The inspiration, well, I'll tell you the name. It comes from Irvin Yalom, is a New York psychoanalyst, and he wrote a book called Mama and the Meaning of Life, and it's all about how the ordinary moments in life stitched together make an extraordinary life, And I thought for me, baking does exactly that. It sort of elevates those ordinary moments, and all together, stitch together all the different contexts that you bake for, make for an extraordinary, memorable life.
Absolutely. You grew up with a mom who cooked, but she didn't bake. Like she used the oven as a place to store things, which I love. I think it's so
That's
cute.
right.
But you
Yeah.
got into baking.
Well, moving from Malaysia, Malaysian cakes are usually steamed, and my
Right.
mother didn't really know what to do with the oven, so she kept, funky foods like dried fish and fermented vegetables in there. And I found my way through baking quite late. I think it was the chemistry. I studied sciences at university, and there was something about the chemistry and the alchemical sort of nature of baking that really drew me to it.
Wow. Okay, so you're going to make the cake that's cake for everybody. And this
Yeah.
is from a time when your son needed a cake for his school, right?
Yes, my oldest son is quite competitive, and there was a bake-off challenge in his class, and three of his friends have allergies. One had a nut allergy, one had a dairy allergy, and the other one had an egg allergy. And he wanted me to help him create a cake that everybody could eat, not because he was necessarily so altruistic, but really because he wanted to win, and because he thought the more people who enjoyed the cake and could eat it, the more votes he would get. And sure enough, he did win. It took a
Okay,
while, but
let's make the cake. Tell me what you need.
yeah. So it's called chocolate cake for everybody because, as I said, it's dairy free, egg free, and nut free. And I start with this ingredient, which might seem a little unorthodox in a cake, but it's dried apricots that have been pureed. And this
Wow.
acts like an egg replacement. It sort of helps the cake to bind
Yeah.
and gives it a little bit of flavor as well. And together with some vinegar, it really does help the cake to lift. I'm adding some oat milk as well in place of dairy milk.
Right. Okay. Wow.
And it's we're not using butter. So for the fats, we're going to use coconut oil that's been melted down. And
Wow.
you could use vegetable oil too, but I really love the taste of a mild coconut oil.
Right.
So that is the liquid component. And we want some sugar, of course. I'm going to add that in.
I'm assuming that your son won the bake off.
Yes, he did. He did. It took us a while to come up with this recipe, but he did get the votes because, it was quite unusual for those people with allergies to be able to taste
Right?
chocolate that tasted just like a chocolate cake.
Right.
You wouldn't know that it was vegan or free from. And a good healthy dose of vanilla, because what I'm seeking in this cake is a really old school comfort, you
Okay.
know, a big chocolate cake with old school comfort.
Yeah.
So I've added the vanilla, and then I'm going to add the dry ingredients, which in this case, good cocoa powder is essential.
Right.
Flour, and there's baking powder and baking soda. So the baking soda acts with the vinegar in here to kind of create carbon dioxide and lift and aerate the cake. So often free from cakes are quite dense or heavy,
Sure.
and this one isn't. It's plush and very deeply chocolatey, um,
You
and
have
also
you have about 100 recipes in your cookbook. Is there one go-to that you make a lot for your family or friends?
yes, the one I would make most often would be the Dutch baby. Do you
Oh,
know what
I
a Dutch
love Dutch
baby?
babies. Love Dutch
Right.
babies.
So I couldn't decide between a sweet or savory one. I love them both. So I thought actually I'll do one sweet and one savory. The sweet one has raspberries and a yogurt cream, and the savory one has cheese and ham and a bit of rocket salad on top.
Wow. Okay. So that must be a family favorite then.
Well, I tell you why it is, Helen, because my children love to have their friends over for a sleepover. And I used to be in the morning rushing to get those pancakes, cooking and flipping them one by one. And then there'll be a kind of skirmish, to try and who gets the first pancake. And the thing about the Dutch baby is that, well, first of all, it's dead easy to make because you kind of put it all in a blender, and it takes literally 2 minutes. And then what happens is that when you put it into the oven, as one giant pancake it's cooked in a skillet.
Right.
The whole thing puffs up into this giant bowl. And they love to tear and share it at the table. And I tell you, it beats flipping pancake one at a time, I
Yeah,
have to say.
I bet. I bet. So you've mixed in, was that a little bit of water that you just put into your mix
Yes,
here?
it's some hot water, and the
Okay.
hot water brings everything together, and it also helps that cocoa to bloom. And that's what gives it that beautiful, luscious chocolate, the depth of the chocolate
Wow.
flavor. And you can see I'm making it all in one bowl,
Right.
which is, not only is it for everyone, but it's for every level
Right?
of baking.
I
Yes.
love it. You have
And
other cakes in your cookbook too. Your chocolate ginger beer cake. Ginger beer cake. I love that
oh,
idea.
yeah, I love that cake. Again, my children love gingerbread. So I thought, chocolate and gingerbread, it's actually based on a chocolate Guinness cake. And I thought, actually, what if I replace the Guinness with the ginger beer? And it works really well with the kind of cream cheese icing, and the whole thing it's also one of those one pot cakes. So you're touching on all the ones that are very easy in the book. So I'm very pleased
Why do you
about
think
that.
that is? And then
Well,
your chocolate tahini cake. That looks
oh
wonderful.
yeah. Yes, there's a few chocolate cakes in there. Actually, chocolate cake is not my go-to, but I know that I'm in the minority. So you'll find lots of chocolate cakes there. And it's no coincidence that chocolate it's not just poetic. There are
Right.
all kinds of things that make chocolate, it hits all those comfort and pleasure buttons in the brain. It's no
In
coincidence.
all the countries you've lived in, Malaysia, Australia, Britain, like do you have each of those influences in your cooking?
Yes, I think from Malaysia, it would be the ingredients.
Right.
I've made today a tamarind cake. Well, actually, it's an upside down pineapple cake, but it has a layer of caramel on the bottom. And I've given the caramel a little lift with a couple of tablespoons of tamarind paste. And it just lifts the caramel from being sort of just cloying and one dimensional.
Yeah.
And I've added some fennel seeds to the batter and some lime zest,
Oh, wow. Okay,
which
so
I
now
really
you've got interesting. I noticed that this in your cookbook that's a huge baking pan. I've never seen one. Usually, I take two baking pans and then put them together, right? But you do this in one big baking pan, and then you divide it, cut it in half.
I do, because I think sometimes when I'm just going to pop it in the oven while I
Okay,
continue to chat with
sure.
you. I think sometimes, and I don't know about you, but um, for me also, sometimes I just can't find two tins exactly the same, just when I need it, I can't find it. So I feel like this gives you the permission to use one and to slice it in half, which I've done here.
Right.
So
Okay.
here's the other half.
And you looks like you put chocolate frosting on the top.
I do, and it's an old-fashioned frosting. I want this cake to be kind of deeply nostalgic and old-fashioned flavor with vanilla and butter. It's a buttercream, but I've used vegan butter,
Oh,
plant.
okay.
And so again, keeping to this notion of, everybody being
Everybody
able
can
to,
eat it. Okay.
yeah. So then here's the top half. I'm going to pop that on top and slather the top on here.
Is it important to let the top cool because so that the frosting can spread easily, as opposed to how sometimes you put frosting on and then the top comes off with it?
Oh yeah, I think cooling the cake completely makes a big difference.
Yeah.
But you, this one, the icing is kind of a spreadable, the frosting is spreadable. So you don't want the cake warm because the icing will slide
Well,
off.
okay, gotcha. Okay, make sure that it's
Yeah. So
totally
what,
cool. Got it.
yeah, exactly. On the other hand, no one wants a cold cake, right? Because it makes the texture quite dense.
Oh,
So I think getting that sort of room temperature
right.
um, is great.
Oh, that looks good. That looks
Right.
good.
So
And then you top that chocolate with like sprinkles or
I do. I usually prefer things understated, but I think for this one, this is about sort of the all inclusivity of, everybody being able to eat it. I want it big. I think, as you said, you usually use a smaller pan, and 20 centimeters would normally, or what would you call that? That's 8 inches.
I don't know the conversion, but I trust you.
So 8 inch, I think, is what, a lot of people
Oh yeah,
have.
you're
But
right. You're right. It's 8 inches. Yeah, you're right.
so this one, I wanted it to be kind of big and celebratory and for sharing.
Yeah.
So I've used a 9 inch pan.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but as you said, if you wanted to make them into two sort of two tins and have two shallower cakes and then sandwich them together, that would absolutely work as well.
Okay. And then I wanted to show off a couple more of your cakes. One is a chocolate turtle cake
Hmm.
that is in your wonderful cookbook. That turtle cake. So there you go with the chocolate again. Oh my gosh, so good. And then you did something called Matilda's tribute cake.
Oh, yeah. So that was inspired. I was developing that at a time when the Australian soccer team, the Matildas, the women's soccer team, were really doing very well in the championships. And, their colors are the green and gold. And
Yeah.
I happen to love the combination of acidic fruits with cream and sponge and meringue.
Love it.
So I used that green and gold as inspiration. And that's the kiwi fruit and passion fruit. And I think that acidity together with the sponge and the cream just really is a delicious combination.
Well, your chocolate cake that you just made now, chocolate cake for everybody, looks fantastic. I wish you were here. Please come be on our show in person, Helen.
Oh, I would love that.
Yes, I
Thank
would
you,
love that
Helen.
too. The book again is titled Baking and the Meaning of Life. Helen Goh, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Helen. It was lovely to speak with you.
Lovely to speak with you as well. We'll be right back with more AM Northwest. Don't go away.